Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Oddcast podcast, where we talk to people who are turning their passion into profession and subsequently passion into paychecks. We have a very special guest today. We are live from Arizona. We got Alex King in the building. He is a pro ball player in the Diamondbacks organization, and he has a really wicked streaming content, streaming Twitch, where he, balls out on Apex, Fortnite, and a lot of that stuff. Alex, how you doing today?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And
great.
just for the folks out there, tell them where they can find you on, whether it's Instagram, whether it's on Twitch, website, anything,
Give
please.
them the plug. Twitter and Instagram, catch me at RexyBing with the Y. On Twitch, it's twitch.tv/RexBing, and YouTube as well, just RexBing. I'm trying to get the Rex Bing on YouTube or Instagram and Twitter, so we're working on it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And you can find all that stuff below. I'll put it on the screen. So I guess, for the intro, we might as well just take them through a 20,000 foot kind of view of who you are, what you're about. I know this is an open-ended question, but yeah, could you kind of just let the listeners and viewers know who you are?
So I'm just an only child from Kansas City, born and raised on baseball. I've been playing since I was 3 years old. Started down in Texas for a little bit, moved to San Antonio, back to Dallas, and then up to Memphis. And by the time I started kindergarten, I was in Kansas City. So moved around a lot as a kid, but always played baseball. And ever since I was a little kid, I remember I was always one of the better players on the team. T-ball, I was hitting bombs, and kid pitch or coach pitch back in the day in Memphis, I was hitting bombs. And ever since then, I've always just had this burning passion for baseball. The video games kind of came into the picture. I think GameCube was really my first console where I could sit down and play for hours.
What game?
Super Mario Sunshine was the game.
That game is nasty.
I actually could probably go back and speedrun that game on stream if I could figure out how to stream it.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that game. Always played any type of sports game, Madden, FIFA, you name it. I got it.
What's the best, out of curiosity, what's your baseball go-to game?
So I like RBI baseball because I can play on the go. That's kind of my thing. But I've always been an Xbox guy. So when 2K got nixed from Xbox or anything, I had to. I'm actually going to look into buying MLB The Show when it comes out with a PS4. So,
dude, I'm telling you, it was funny. Our last episode we released was with Yugo Pro John Madden, former pitcher. And I was like, the episode is titled Madden MLB 2019. And I was like, dude, we got to get that game going in the works because Microsoft is effing up by not having a baseball game.
I know.
I mean, I play RBI too. I play RBI. I have a Switch and an Xbox, so I play RBI on that. And it's there, but it's not quite. You want that show feel. I know exactly what you mean.
I'm with you.
So I guess we spoke to this, but it's a perfect transition. So what was like the inception of, like you said, baseball background, baseball family, always been playing. What was the inception of like where you were like, I can make a run at this in a pro sense?
So this kind of ties in with where Rex Bing came from. It was my junior year, first weekend of the year, down in San Antonio. We're playing against Notre Dame and a few other teams, but the first game, it was under the lights. My first 3 at-bats, I bunted my first at-bat and hit 2 nukes, my next 2 at-bats. And I had 1 home run in 2 years up to that point. And for some reason, I came in all hyped to the dugout, and a couple of guys just said, this is Rex. Like, we have a new player on our team. His name's Rex Bing. And that's where the name came from. And I've stuck with it ever since. I still have a few guys, even the D-backs. I've kind of told them that story. They call me Rex now. But that's kind of where it came from. And once that happened, the power really came as an infielder. And, my defense has always been pretty good and pretty solid. But once the power came, I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
I've got a chance to do it.
Wow, that's super interesting. So, you always had the defensive prowess and then started knocking some in and you're like, okay, I got the – that's really interesting. That must be so you said junior year, that was in high school, correct? Or that's SLU?
Yeah, that's SLU.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it SLU.
SLU. So that's a perfect transition for the next question. Is share your thoughts on SLU, your time at SLU. It sounds like it was a great experience. Sounds like a solid crew.
Coach Hendrickson, he treats us so well. He's a great guy, and I was actually a late recruit going to SLU. I was actually going to Hutchinson Community College in Hutchinson, Kansas, the Blue Dragons, and the shortstop from SLU got drafted, and there was actually a pitcher I went to high school with who recommended me to the coaches, and they came and watched me, went on a visit. I mean, it was a 4-day recruiting process.
Wow.
From when they saw me play, brought me on a visit, and I committed.
That's a whirlwind.
It was unreal. It was right after the 4th of July, after I graduated high school.
Wow.
So I had about a month to transition. But I went in and I showed out and got a chance to start as a freshman, and I missed 3 games in my career.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was reading your profile from SLU, and basically you seem like a very, very consistent player. And I think in baseball especially, where it's 162 games versus 16 in the NFL obviously, or even 82 in NBA,
right.
30 in soccer. Can you speak to how important consistency is? That's another open-ended question.
But it's totally different now at this level where you're playing every day.
Really?
You might get 1 or 2 off days a month, compared to school and college where you play 4 to 5 a week. You definitely get 1 off day on that Monday after a weekend series. So that's another thing that I think allowed me to play all those games in college, where you get that off day, you take it easy on a Wednesday after you play a midweek game. They treat you right, and you really come into the weekend hot and ready to go. Whereas here, you got to maintain. It's if you're down in a game, maybe not run as hard down to first base. If you're down by 5 or 6 runs in the 9th inning, don't roll an ankle on first base just because you want to run hard. You got to
run hard tomorrow, first thing, probably.
Exactly. You got to be smart, thinking about the whole season. They preached about that today, first day of spring training. You don't need to come out here and run 100 miles an hour. We have a long season ahead of us. You got 140 games in full season, some about 90 games in short season. Wherever you go, you're going to play a lot of baseball. You just don't need to wear yourself out now and try and catch up to everybody else who's been here. It's just not, you don't need it.
That's really interesting. As an outsider, I never really thought of it like that, but I agree and see where you're coming from completely. So I guess, to switch it, to kind of go 180, switch it a little bit. We touched on it briefly, but what was the creation of the stream, the Twitch channel? Have you always been a gamer?
Oh my gosh. I touched on that a little earlier with the GameCube.
Yeah.
I think it was GameCube, Wii, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now PC. That's 5 consoles that I've gone through, but I've lived them all out to their fullest. My Xbox 360 barely works anymore. The Xbox One's the same way.
Shout out to the Red Ring of Death.
Yes, I know. I luckily didn't have it. I had a CD drive failure, so I had to get a new one. But the second one is barely alive. It's great. Put in 30 days on Modern Warfare 2. I grew up on Call of Duty, first of all. That was the dominant game of the last 10 years.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then you come out and Fortnite just comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, Fortnite. And what was the one right before the Battlegrounds? PUBG. Yeah.
PUBG. I didn't get into PC gaming and PUBG or any of those games until Fortnite was big.
I see. I think that happened to a lot of people.
So PC's really blown up for a lot of people because of Fortnite, and because these Battle Royale games can run at such high frame rates and it can be so fast with your movement. It basically allows your skill ceiling to go a lot higher. So somebody like me who, I've always been good at video games, I want to take it to the next level. I want to prove myself. And any of these professional esports games are on PC. The only one that's not is Call of Duty. Just with the aim assists on Call of Duty, since it's been a console game for so long, they're staying on PS4. They're doing their thing there. But any other game like PUBG, Fortnite. All those games are professionally played on PC. So that's where you see the increase in people playing PC.
Oh yeah, and I mean even beyond the battle royale games, you have like Dota, all that stuff that is just massive. And I guess that's a perfect way for me to transition to the next question, which is, so I know it was really interesting actually. One of your most recent videos was like the caption was like, how is this even possible? Like physically, and I think that's really interesting that you can do stuff like that within these battle royale games, do stuff that basically like is such high, Twitch rate stuff where you're just like building, rebuilding, wall getting shot at, wall shooting people. Do you have a favorite?
In the battle royale scene, it's Apex.
Apex is the new mint?
I actually thought about this. The Fortnite skill ceiling is so high. They've made that game so well so that you can build the Eiffel Tower in 5 seconds. It allows you to do that, and people are becoming so good and so dedicated to that game. I just don't have that time to keep up, right? Yep. So I get into a build fight with a guy, and we're going after it, and somehow he barely shoots me before my build and then gets back on top of me and shoots me again, and I'm like, sick. Like, what are you doing, man? You play 8 hours a day? Like, I just don't have that time.
Yeah.
So I like Apex because it's a pure shooter. There's no second variable to the battle royale with the building in Fortnite. Apex, natural high ground, natural cover, it all comes into effect. You specialize in your specialists, and you go from there. And I don't know how many kills I've got now. It's a little over 600, I think.
Dang.
I've played quite a bit, and I was really addicted to it. I haven't had a drive to play a game like that since Modern Warfare 2.
Wow.
When I would sit there and play for 8 hours, I could do that with Apex. Wow. I'm addicted. I really am.
That's awesome.
It's great.
I've heard honestly like nothing but great stuff about Apex. I've heard that I know it's kind of the young gun, if you will, now in the battle royale scene, but like it's been received super, super well across the board.
Yeah, I mean they just hit at 50 million concurrent players, not concurrent, but total players, total downloads. They did it in 4 weeks, whereas Fortnite took 4 months.
Wow, that's insane. So, I mean, to tie that into being a pro ball player, is there any similarity, or this is an interesting one too, how you said kind of, the Twitch rate of like playing, like not on Twitch, but just like quick reactions and stuff. Are there any similarities between, high level ball and, esports?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just like MLB, there's professional esports, right? Yep. So people get salaries. They get bonuses for signing with a certain team. There's incentive to be a professional esport athlete, and that's another thing. They call them athletes, but some people would argue, basketball players are jumping out the roof, and you're just sitting here with a controller. Like, yeah, but they are athletes. Oh yeah, you try and do that. I want to watch you try and do that. Like, oh yeah, they are unreal. They're the best of the best. But the dedication that we put into baseball, I wake up. Today I report at 7 and I get done by 1:30. That's, a good 6 hours of work. That's my job. That's what they do. They play video games for a job. Yeah. I think that's the biggest similarity. Plus it's also the most elite, best of the best in whatever game they're playing. Yeah. For us it's baseball. For them it's Fortnite, PUBG, whatever. And, they're the cream of the crop. So I think that's another good similarity too, and some guys make it, some guys don't, but everybody's gonna give it their shot, and they'll take their select few to make it to the top.
That's absolutely true. I mean, I was even seeing, I read an article, it was about 4 or 5 months ago now. I believe it was ESPN, but they were doing a profile on Fader, who's obviously like the biggest guy. He's South Korean, I believe, but like they were talking about how they poach these guys from like different countries and stuff and bring them over and put them up in houses. Like, I mean, sounds exactly like sports. Like, getting guys from different countries who are going to facilitate at, someone plays the tank position or someone plays the, mage position, just as someone plays shortstop or someone plays left field or someone's a pitcher. And there are so many interesting similarities between it. So like, that being said, what do you think about like the future of esports? You see it continuing to progress, continuing to grow?
Absolutely. So in college, when I went in, I was undecided on a major. And I kind of got into Twitch and esports a little bit my freshman year, and I saw it kind of growing a little bit. I was still a beginner, a noob in the gaming world, but I decided to study sports business, and that's an actual degree at SLU.
Wow.
Where it's a business degree with a few extra classes in sports management, sports marketing, that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
So I did that in hopes of when I'm done with baseball to get into esports, because it's going to blow up.
Yeah, if not already. I mean, frankly.
Come back to this podcast in 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be out there making, $2 million a year, owning an esports organization, and they will be legit. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be, so they're talking about franchising, right?
Yeah.
So Overwatch League has the franchising where you have Houston Outlaws, or like there's a Los Angeles team. Houston Outlaws is my team that I watch, but
nice.
That thing is, it's real. It's happening. Call of Duty's coming. I think Rocket League is another esport that's not as big. It's new, but
it could be huge.
And that's another game that I love.
I love Rocket League.
I love Rocket League, man. It's so much fun.
We'll exchange.
Absolutely.
We got to play some.
Cross platforms out, everybody. You can add me. So we'll get that after. Absolutely. But I think Rocket League is another game that people love soccer. They, that kind of thing. But I think in the next 15, 20 years, if we can get real life Rocket League, think about it. Get a free a stadium like Chase Field.
Yeah.
Build a Rocket League stadium and put it in for an event.
I mean, it'd be like Demolition Derby on steroids.
Yes.
Like beyond that.
I think it'd just be unreal. And whether it's a hologram or if it's real, I think people would come and they would watch. They already get a bunch of people for Rocket League events. That's
really interesting thing about the hologram thing, because I actually was reading another article where in the United Arab Emirates, they've opened up a replica of the Bernabeu where Real Madrid plays, and they play classic matches with holograms. So, I mean, all this stuff, like you said, 5, 10, 15, it's going to be there.
It's coming, man. I tell you what. And I mean, the rise of esports, it's one of the fastest growing industries in the world.
Yeah.
Mostly in Asia, just because of League of Legends and Dota, those games like you said. But even games like Rainbow Six is growing like crazy. Rocket League hasn't quite made a scene there, but even Fortnite and those games, they've had events in Korea, in China for Fortnite and PUBG. Everything it's just growing so exponentially fast. It's if there's a time to get into esports, it's right now. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I would say it was probably when you first got in a couple years back. I mean, that's even better.
Yeah, getting that degree I think is going to help me exponentially in the long run.
Yeah,
whether it's in baseball or esports.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. I think esports, it's going to be so fun, especially when, I mean, what would be super cool too is if they started like, I know Madden is pretty big on there, but if they had like seasons of Madden, like where they could get players, or seasons of the show where they could get people just all playing and tuning in as if it's your team. I mean, that would be next level.
Absolutely.
And it's already going that way, so who's to say it's going to slow down?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that's we hit esports. Now I know you're basically, I mean, from reading your profile, shortstop is the name of the game for you in defense, but you've played third base, you played second base. I believe you played some left field.
I played 1 inning left field. Yeah.
Yeah. Is shortstop your preference naturally? Are there other fun things about the other positions?
Personally right now I'm working a lot more towards second, some third, but you get some of these Dominican kids that come in, they've been playing short, middle infield their entire lives. That's all they do when they're at home. They're defensive players, right? They may not hit, but they can play defense. So they're going to play short most likely. I played 4 years at short in college, but I have more of a power bat. The philosophy, swing hard, swing up. That's kind of my thing. It's launch angle and everything's coming into play a lot. And if I'm going to make it out, I'd rather make it at the warning track than a ground ball.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing. So that works more towards the second and third base player profile, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of have a power guy playing third, or like a Dan Uggla kind of thing at second. He can play defense just fine. He has good hands up the middle, but also hits nukes.
Oh, that guy's, he hits freaking bombs all day.
So I played a lot of third in the AZL. I played second as well. Played a little first, actually, in rookie ball up in Missoula. Had a few games at short there as well. And then Hillsborough, I played some short and third as well. So
wow.
I've been all over.
I think that probably inherently, ultimately, like can help your confidence too. It's like, you could throw me in anywhere, coach. I'm ready. I'm a baller. And your defense sounds like it's going to be solid regardless. It's like you said, it's just swinging hard, swinging up, and knocking them.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's become kind of a theme in sports more recently, where, for example, John Madden, our last episode, he was like, I didn't know I was going to be a pitcher growing up. I mean, you look at his build, he looks like he's a dinger hitter. Mm-hmm. But I think people have had to really blend. I mean, LeBron brings the ball up the court in basketball. Anthony Davis can shoot threes.
Right.
And inherently, the same thing is happening in baseball, where we're now having pitchers who can smack some dingers. Mm-hmm. We're having guys who can throw with either arm. I mean, people are becoming utility players in one shape or form. I mean, and it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And that's going to help you in the long run if you're at this level. If they have a third baseman that goes down in high A and you're in low A, and let's say you can only play second base, you're not going to move up. But if you can play everywhere, like that's kind of my goal, is to play everywhere in the infield. Might even catch a little bit. I don't even know. Just put me in, let me play, give me some at-bats, and I'll make my way up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I totally believe in that philosophy. You should be able to bob and weave and roll with the punches, as they say. So that's kind of an interesting one to transition again to, like, what are the pros and cons of being a pro ball player, just from the outside perspective? I mean, some of them are fairly obvious. I know, the travel time has to be wild, some of the stuff you have to do. And then obviously the camaraderie has to be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool to come to the park and see the little kids that, oh, Alex, can I have your autograph? And you're in like low A. Like, you don't make any money, but you're there for them. And,
awesome.
And it's a job that I love going to every day. Obviously, I've played it since I was 3 years old. It's been my dream to play professional baseball.
Yeah.
I literally get paid to play the game I love. It's
incredible.
That's the biggest pro, by all means. The con, again, the payment. It's an issue. And Bryce Harper signs for $330 million. I'm like, just give me like $100,000 of that. Let me have something. But that's not really why I'm playing. I'm not playing for the payment. I'm continuing my dream, and someday we'll get there, right? And someday, that's the dream for everybody, is to make it to the big leagues and get that big paycheck, that six-figure paycheck where you're balling, right?
Yeah.
But all this work beforehand, that's you work to get there.
Yeah, I would definitely say. I mean, look, again, this is an outsider perspective of someone who's never played a professional sport or really a high-level sport, but I think it's the hardest league to make it in. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you just get down to how many, like you said, short season, you got low, high A, double A. I mean, I don't even know all of them, seriously, because like from the outside perspective, you just think, oh, maybe single A, double A, triple A, then you're there. Yeah. But it's like way more than that, and just the numbers behind it. So I definitely, you're chasing that passion, and that's
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So I compare it to Rocket League. I'm just a Rocket League nerd all the time. But so the ranks in Rocket League go, you have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, champion, and grand champion.
Yep.
And so there's an MMR assigned to you, and you gain and lose MMR based on wins and losses. So
really,
that's how you make your way up the ranks.
And for those out there, sorry, when you say MMR, could you just tell the folks out?
I honestly don't even know what it means, to be honest. It's just your specific rank. It's up to the thousands.
Yeah.
And some of the pros are up to, I want to say, like 2,000 MMR.
Wow.
And I'm sitting about 1,500 right now.
Okay.
I'm a champ 2. I've been to grand champ, but I am nowhere near where those guys are. Yeah. So I would say the range for grand champ is like 1,600 to 2,000.
Wow.
And you get the pros that are up here, and they're a whole new level compared to the other grand champs that are down here. So I compare minor league baseball, you got grand champs down low, grand champs up high are the major leaguers. And like, if you put a grand champ up here versus a low grand champ, he's going to destroy them. It's just naturally going to happen because that's just the level compared. But you're going to grind, you're going to keep working your way up the ladder so that one day you could be the top tier grand champ.
Yeah.
So those guys will stay at the top as long as they can. Once they start declining, somebody else takes their place.
Fills their spot.
That's exactly how it is in MLB.
Wow. So it really is. I mean, that's insane. That's a really good analogy. I would never have. I appreciate you sharing that.
If you play Rocket League, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So being from Kansas, then you said you spent some time in Texas. How's the influence of being a Kansas Texas, but Kansas dude? What are the influences on you as a ball player and a person?
Oh man,
it's a deep one.
Well, Johnson County, where I'm from, I mean, it's a really great place for young baseball players. They have tons of indoor facilities for the winter.
Awesome.
Even in the summer, you got great facilities everywhere. There's fields everywhere. The presence of baseball in Kansas City is huge, but you don't hear of too many players coming out of there. You hear all the Florida and the Texas and Louisiana, all those South or California even on the West Coast. You hear of those guys, but making a name for myself out of Kansas has been really cool. So when I go home, people kind of know who I am. It's kind of cool. It's like coming from a small town, but we aren't really a small town. And going back, and I've coached a little bit with my old summer team, my old summer coach. He played in the minor leagues for a little bit, so he kind of gets it. And he wanted me to come talk to his players. And he was basically saying something about defense, about moving your feet in a certain way. And I came back and told them the exact same thing, and they immediately did it after they didn't do it for him. Just because I had that kind of, I don't know, presence around Kansas City where if you can make it out of Kansas City, you're doing something right.
That's awesome.
So
wow.
I really enjoy going back there, and my parents are still there. Currently live in Chicago, but I still go back every once in a while and see all the homies and stuff. So
yeah,
it's a great place for sure.
Yeah, it sounds. I've never been, but it sounds absolutely wonderful. Like I think, in a similar sense, I'm from San Diego, but I think that Kansas has a small town vibe, but the resources of a big city, because it is. I mean, Kansas City is fairly big.
Absolutely.
San Diego's kind of similar in that sense. I mean, I know it's California versus Kansas, but it has a small city feel, but with the resources of a big city.
Absolutely.
So, like a lot of cool little mini pockets of neighborhoods. Everyone kind of knows each other within those, and
you got it.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, big shout out to Kansas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess any fun, like goofy MLB stories you want to share, minor league story, like any. I this is one I always like to ask, but sometimes people are just like, oh, I can't think of one right now, and that's all good.
Yeah, I'll tell a little story about myself last summer. So I get drafted, and I show up to mini camp. We got a few days there, and they say, all right, we're going to keep you here in the AZL for for a little bit. Just it was 35th round. Like, they didn't know what to expect out of me, right? So we're still practicing, whatever. I'm doing really well. Bat feels great. Gloves, I'm picking it. Everything. They get a call that one of the guys up in Hillsboro actually got hit in the mouth by a fastball.
Holy moly.
It was crazy. He had emergency surgery. Crazy circumstance. But basically the shortstop that was playing could play outfield as well. So they give me a call and they say, hey, you're going to Hillsboro. I haven't even played a game yet. And I'm going to short season A. Like, you get the top draft picks aren't even there yet.
Wow.
And I'm going to play with these second year guys that
just circumstantial too, like you said.
Exactly. And I could play everywhere, so that's why they sent me up there. So I go up there for like a week and a half. I think, all right, I've made it. Like, I'm here in short season. Oh, man, do I have no clue what's going to happen, right? So we go on our first road trip over to Boise, Idaho, and I basically take a small duffel, big enough to fit a small dog, and I have like 3 days worth of clothes. I don't think anything. I'm like, all right, I'll come back, nothing. And after the first game, I had a great game. I go like 2 for 3 with a double or something. I had a good play. And I'm like feeling good, and the coach calls me in the office after the game. I thought he was gonna, say, hey, that's what we need you to do here, like that kind of thing. I ended up going back to Arizona because they got somebody else who was going to come up, and they just didn't think I was ready.
Wow.
Which that call was made before the game, right? So.
So that the call to get the other
for me to come down.
Wow.
I finally got settled in, right? First game I get settled in, back down to Arizona. I go to Arizona for 3 days. I play in one game, go up to Missoula in rookie ball. Another guy got hurt, right? So I go up there and I play short for, about a week, and then he starts coming back, and I start playing first because I'm mashing the ball. Right?
Yeah.
I'm playing first, learning first, all at the same time, and And one game in Ogden, I had like 3 errors. It was terrible experience. Like all the fans were like, boo, like get in my face. Like I was just like crying a little bit. No, I'm kidding. But I was there for 2 weeks, and then I can't remember if there was an injury or something. They just needed some help up for. Oh, actually, it was we were going to Vancouver for a trip, and some guys didn't have their passports, so they sent. It was actually some of the Dominicans. They sent them down to Missoula, and I go up to Hillsboro, and then we flip-flop, I think, like after that series in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I come back for one game at home at Hillsboro, and they say, hey, you're going back to Arizona. I'm like, and this was all in like a matter of 5 weeks.
That's
all this
wild.
Move. So it's Arizona, Hillsboro, Arizona, Missoula, Hillsboro, Arizona, all in 5 weeks.
Wow. I mean, you can't really be ready for that. You just have to be down.
I actually got sick when I came back to Arizona because I was traveling so much. Like, I think I caught something on a plane or something, but
wow,
I just had to lay in my bed for 2 days and just recuperate.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. You're in like different environments, just always flying, traveling. Also, like just never being like, just like sure of that. Like you have to have a wild mentality to make it in the MLB for sure. Yeah, for sure.
The crazy thing about that too is I mentioned I brought that little suitcase.
Yeah.
My big suitcase that I brought everything in was still in Hillsboro. So they had to, my host family packed everything up for me, took it to the clubhouse, and the clubhouse took a few days for them to ship it down to Arizona. Wild. And the day that they shipped it was the night that I went to Missoula. So as they shipped it out, I was on a plane going to Missoula, and this is going to Arizona, and I'm waiting in Missoula for 2 weeks for my suitcase, and then the day before I leave for Hillsboro, it gets there. Luckily, right? So I have everything with me on this bus from Vancouver to Hillsboro. I'm dying, man. Like, we get off the bus at 4 in the morning. I'm like, got all my crap with me, and luckily I had it. But if not, it would have been chasing me around the country. Literally.
Wow, that's nuts. Well, it's so interesting how it's like this kind of comes back full circle to what you were saying earlier. It shows how like it's good that you are able to play so many different positions because that allowed them to say, hey, we can call him up or unfortunately send him back.
Right, wherever, yeah.
But but also, like you said, just being able to adapt and roll with the punches, like that's so key. I mean, geez Louise, I can't even imagine that.
It's the life, man.
Yeah,
it's the life. I also had to do taxes in 3 different states, which kind of sucks.
Holy moly, I didn't even think about that. So that
was brutal, yeah.
Yeah, that's where if there's like an MLB tax guy who just goes all around, that would be a great niche.
Right, yeah. But we got them done, so we're doing good.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. That's a good one. While we're here, any shout outs you want to give? I know we talked about Henderson, your coach. Hendrickson, sorry about that.
He's a little crazy, but it's in a good way. You know, he wants to take care of you, and he wants the best for you. Without him, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
No doubt in my mind. I mean, I would have been probably playing JUCO ball and maybe played 2 years, go to some small D2 and, hit some bombs, and that's it.
Wow.
That's all I did. So thanks to him, I'm where I am now. I had no other opportunities for Division I baseball other than him.
Wow.
And he trusted in me. So shout out to him. Will Bradley, Joey Hawkins, both of my assistant coaches my senior year. They're both actually, one's with the Angels, Bradley, and then one's with the Cardinals.
Sick.
They just moved up. So
2 great organizations to be a part of.
Solid coaches. I mean, they are the reason that I started hitting the ball out of the park. They're the reason that I started picking it way better at short. You know, and Joey really helped me with a lot of outside of baseball stuff, kind of preparing for this and getting through a senior year, leading a team, that kind of a thing. Great dude. Young guy too. He's 26 or so. So
wow,
he's awesome. So wish the best for them. And shout out to SLU Baseball. They're at home for the first weekend, struggling through some tough weather, but I know you guys are gonna kill it. So shout out to you guys.
I love that. And I mean, that's really awesome. You definitely sound like you have a great head on your shoulders in regards to that type of stuff. And like you said, patience and perseverance, that's going to pay off.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah. And so I guess that'd be perfect. We always we've been going about 35 minutes. It's been great sitting down with you. I really appreciate your time, Alex. I guess the last thing that we always like to do on the Oddcast, of course, passion to paychecks, is any advice out there for listeners who maybe are scared to take that leap. And I think you know what I mean when I say take that leap of jumping in to a pursuit of passion, not necessarily just for the paychecks, but again, you have to have insurance in some way.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with streaming. I mean, I'm just like anybody else. I started with 0 followers, right?
Wow.
And if you're going to get into streaming, if you're going to get into any content creation, it sucks at the beginning. For the first couple of years, as you probably know, it sucks. You have 0, 1, 2 viewers at a time, 1 person in chat, maybe nobody in chat, and you're just playing video games. But at some point, something will go viral, something will blow up, and you will be growing like crazy. And it's just a pursuit of passion, but it's a pursuit of patience when waiting for that opportunity to come. Like for Ninja, it took him 9 years to blow up, but now he's the most known video gamer in the world.
Yeah, he's literally synonymous with video games.
He's in Austria right now meeting up with the biggest European influencers. Like Neymar surprised him at the PSG game.
What the hey?
He's insane, right? 9 years of grinding. He had followers, he had viewers, but he was stagnant. He stayed at one point. Even if you're stagnant, if you're not getting followers, keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Same with baseball. If you're stagnant, you don't feel like you're getting better, keep at it, because it takes a downfall for you to go back up.
Wow.
And when you come back up, you'll be stronger. So that's all I got.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a good one. That might be the preview clip that we have to share with folks on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate your time, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And guys, shout out where they can find you again, just so we have it at both ends of the interview.
Instagram and Twitter at RexyBing, REXYBING.
Yep.
Twitch.tv/RexBing. Shoot a follow there. And YouTube as well, RexBing. We're getting that going. We're going to be looking at doing a podcast as well on YouTube, so check me out there.
Yeah, and you can find it on all of our stuff too. We will post it below there on the link in the video, and you'll see it across the screen. And thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Oddcast, where we talk about folks who are turning their passion into profession and subsequently that passion into paychecks. Alex King was a wonderful guest. Alex, you want to sign us out?
What do I say? Thanks for tuning into the Oddcast.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast. It's the Oddcast.